This is a snapshot of my presentation on international business. The presentation focuses on the outward foreign direct investment and domestic productivity using China's model, and of course, reviewing the possibility of its application in Canadian economy. As highlighted the outline of this presentation, and my name is Uchechukwu Eke. I am presenting for Group 4. Introduction. To ascertain the impact of globalization in China, this presentation focuses on the problems and solutions that are related to outward direct investment and domestic growth as evidenced in China and its application to Canadian economy. Discussion. There is no doubt that foreign direct investment has been one of the most significant features of China's economic reforms, with foreign direct investment playing an important role in terms of capital formation, employment creation, labor training, export promotion, and a host of others. However, in China, the distribution of this economy among regions has been very uneven and insignificant. In Canada, though the Canadian economy seems to have trajectory growth over the years, but the growth as envisaged remain very insignificant compared to China's consistent, deliberate, and speed economic progression. China outward investment. According to World Bank report, in 2020, the value of outward foreign direct investment from China grew to about 132 billion USD, which is an evidence of her deliberate growth strategy. Last year, as global foreign direct investment flows slumped by almost to 1/5, China's inbound direct investment expanded by more than 10% to reach an all-time high of 1/4, almost twice its share in 2019. Reviewing the graph below, it is evident that between January 2020 through April 2020 to July 2020, there has been consistent outward domestic growth in China, which shows that there is well-defined strategy and economic experts with a long-term vision. And this has been consistent in their performance over the years. China domestic investment. The domestic investment is not left out of the race. It is true that China depends more on domestic investment and consumption more than exports to generate its growth. And this was able to accomplish because of their informed plans and strategies with a long-term vision. Below graph shows a consistent growth of the domestic economy from 2012 to 2020, showing a growth of about $14,722.73 billion. Foreign direct investments, entry barriers, and domestic growth. Basically, there are certain keys or certain factors that either promote or reduce the growth of economy. And some of those factors are as mentioned below. That is bilateral trade agreement, which has to do with agreement between two or more countries on areas of economic interest. This bilateral agreement is a factor that should be consistently reviewed and should be in line with the economic vision of a country. There's nothing wrong in carrying out certain enhanced due diligence before renegotiation. Another factor is government economic policies. This is where technocrats and world economics are needed to be part of economic policies that could assist, attract foreign investors while improving domestic investments and growth. Another factor is human rights laws. Inasmuch as laws are good for protection of the weak, protection of the vulnerable, protection of the underaged, and protection of human rights, it should be viewed vis-a-vis economic needs of a country. There's no doubt that China has been able to grow economically and aggressively by making advantage of its population and, of course, cheap labor. Why I'm of the opinion that human rights should be respected. It is important that we are flexible and a total review is put into place in order to support the entire economy. Cultural erosion. Culture, which has to do with morals, values, and ethics of a group of people, is as important as our life. However, it is good for us to understand that where your rights ends, another person's own starts. Therefore, there should be tolerance and understanding. There should be relationship between foreigners. There should be tolerance that will enable foreigners to bring in their businesses, attract foreign investment, attract good and harmonious relationship in our communities. And this will go a long way in developing the entire economy. Another area of importance is diversification of economy. Most emerging economies are presently practicing money economy, especially some African countries, including Nigeria. As long as a country depends solely on a money economy, there's no way that country can grow. Therefore, it's advised that all emerging economies, including Canada, Nigeria, and other countries, should be able to continue to diversify in order to attract both foreign investments and domestic investment. And of course, helping in boosting the entire economy. Political corruption. This is one of those things that kill a particular economy. Political corruption is as bad as death itself. Therefore, it should not be tolerated in our countries. No wonder then China has a very good law that's enacted to sentence corrupt leaders up to 5 to 10 years imprisonment with fine. And this has gone a long way to checkmate political corruption and has contributed to a boost in the entire economy. Advantage of foreign direct investment and domestic growth. This cannot be overemphasized. It is always evidence on technological spillover, catalyzation of foreign investments in a country, augmentation of domestic capital, enhancement efficiency through transfer of new technology, marketing, managerial skills, innovations, and best practices, contribution to economic development of host country in general terms. Basic factors for foreign direct investment and domestic growth. Some of the factors for foreign direct investments are enterprise investment, reorganization of labor and productivity, upgrading of skills and improving in all local community, bilateral agreement improvement through renegotiation and enhanced due diligence, formulation and implementation of flexible policies and human rights laws, enhancing corporate governance and maintaining healthy, congruent and normative pillar in organizations, maintaining healthy relationships and innovation and innovative economic information among EU members. Another important factor is diversification of global business and economy. It is important to attract multinationals and international businesses to help in economic development. Overview of Canadian economy. In the early years of Canadian nationhood, there's no doubt that investment was most conspicuous in resource development, mining, manufacturing, and of course, a large portion of manufacturing product needs were met by imports, balancing the heavy resource exports. It is, however, very important to note that the growth rate is not as expected. The more reason, government of Canada and her citizens with technocrats need to sit down to formulate a visible policy culture that could lead to economic bust. Some of the things that affected generally the economy of Canada is the national policies and foreign investments. We're talking about openness to foreign policies, national policy, protection of secondary industry, encouragement of maximum natural development in response to demand. As good as it's said, most of these policies are biased. Therefore, there should be more openness and consideration of foreigners, making them to very comfortable and attractive to do business in Canada. And also attracting more businesses outside Canada. Recommendation on Canadian economy. No doubt, Canadian economy has been upward trajectory. However, to become a global economy based on the growth pace of China model, the following are highly recommended. Government support is needed with economic reforms that will attract foreign domestic investors and boost domestic growth, reducing restrictions and barriers. Government needs to simplify its actual direct investment approval processes and improve its related systems. There's need to reach out to countries for treaties, partnership, renegotiation of bilateral agreements. Government of Canada needs to align with global economic world powers to boost our economy. And of course, cheap labor may not be acceptable, and employment of children equally may not be acceptable. However, one of the key success of China's foreign direct investment is the management of its population. Therefore, it won't be out of place to look inward and be very flexible with some of our policies. There also need for diversification of investment modes, intensification of financial support to investment projects, and the cultivation of a sound investment environment by establishing economic and technological development zones at national level should not be ignored. Canadian culture is very beautiful. However, flexibility is encouraged in order to attract more domestic investment as well as encourage foreign direct investments.